So finally, it's time to start writing with this project. In previous videos of this module, we have looked at clearing the decks to make space and time in our lives to enable us to set up a regular writing time that will work for 80 or 90% of the time, allowing for occasional intrusions of life, family and work. This is our sacred time. We have decided on an approach for the first draft of the novel. We've considered our writing voice, chosen a point of view, first person or third person, made the choice of present tense or past tense. We've developed a mud map of the narrative line. Possibly you have done much more. And as we follow through the weeks of this process, we know we can return to any of the videos in this module to reinforce the path we're on. So our decks are cleared and we are in our creative space. It may be in a room set aside as an office in the home, possibly a comfortable lounge chair with a laptop on the lap, perhaps in a cafe with a cup of coffee. Enjoy. We are staring at a computer screen, ready to start. The blank page of a word processing program is staring back at us. Oh my God. Any long journey begins with the first step. In our case, it begins with the first word. This is not an easy step, never an easy step. We have worked on procrastination, kept seductive diversions at bay. We have thought so much about what we're going to write, and now we're actually going to write it. Chisel it into digital stone. A very big step. In your case, the beginning may already be written, okay? Copy and paste onto a page of your first draft and you're on your way. Whatever your chosen approach, the mental construct of your work in progress is important. You may already have a reasonable idea of where you will be starting your narrative, but there's always the pressure on a writer when sitting down to compose the first words of a first draft of a manuscript. Possibly you are writing madly and have several hundred words down while I've been talking. And then again, you may not. Surely not the dreaded writer's block is visiting on day one. Probably not, but with the pressure of starting, it's quite possible. So what is this writer's block? Professionals can't afford writer's block. When you're relying on writing as a career, either as a journalist or an author or whatever form of writing chosen to create an income, there is no time for hindrances such as writer's block. Nevertheless, it can be very real. It can stop you in your tracks. So how do we deal with writer's block? We will be dealing with blockages to our creative flow in future modules of this course. There are a lot of tricks that professionals use. These eventually become actions of the subconscious, so you don't even know that you're using them. Right now, to take the pressure away from the first page of the first draft, here is a little exercise that can help. Write anything that comes to mind in a stream of consciousness. Stream of consciousness is quite often just gobbledygook. It can be a meaningless ramble, thoughts on the meaning of life, a political rant over something you've just heard this morning, for your eyes only. As a creative person, if you just start writing whatever comes into your head without any pre-thought, without any planning, just let it flow. It's an excellent exercise to get writing. For example, just now, while preparing this course, I scribbled down the following.
It's a sunny morning, feeling good. Overslept. Really enjoyed the film last night, but I don't know about this writing business. I know I want to write. I know I have the ideas. I know I can write words. But, life isn't about sun showers and rainbows, and I just feel empty this morning. I don't know if I can do this thing.
You are writing. Now swing your thoughts to the narrative.
That was the morning that Natasha found the body, stumbled over it, jogging through the park. Music from the buds, a shortcut between the trees, and she stopped just in time. A woman lay there. Natasha crouched and reached out a hand. The woman was cold. Natasha pulled the phone from the armband and punched in the number.
Thanks again to Samantha, my cyber friend. Writing gobbledygook pulls the eyes, brain and fingers together, putting down words. The stream of consciousness gobbledygook can go on for much longer than the short example here, and can extend as far and as wide as your imagination, and your subconscious will let the words flow. The end result is that your body's writing machine is running. Knock out the gobbledygook of that first section of stream of consciousness, and all of a sudden, we've got the beginning of a chapter. In this case, perhaps the beginning of a novel. We set up the narrative without any real thought or planning, and we have met Natasha. We know she is a woman who jogs to keep fit, enjoys music. When she stumbled across a dead woman, she didn't panic. Her reaction didn't cause her to scream or run away. She demonstrated competency by checking the woman to see if anything could be done. She called for professional help on her phone. In one short, pretty average paragraph written in less than 30 seconds, without any pre-thought or planning, we have established a significant amount of knowledge of the type of person that Natasha is. A stream of consciousness writing exercise is an excellent way of starting a writing session. Another approach is possibly spend 10 minutes writing up your journal, and that will get you on track. Writing notes on how your draft is going and what you have planned for today. It's about getting the mind, eye, finger coordination going so that you are writing. Professional writers such as journos and authors have a palette of tricks that over time almost become subconscious, so the writer's block doesn't really exist. And as mentioned before, we'll cover the facts and myths of writer's block as the course continues. But right now, back to the work in hand. Much has been written and discussed about a novel's first sentence, first paragraph, first page. The focus on these early words is not without good reason. They're extremely important. These are the words and pages that engage your reader and make her read on, and hopefully once you have hooked a reader's intention, you can maintain it through the length of your work. Yes, the first sentence, first paragraph, first page, they're all extremely important. But don't spend your first day's writing time pondering the first sentence. In fact, don't worry about it at all. Honing and shaping the first sentence is a task that is beyond the first draft. These decisions are for the editing process when you are refining your work. Right now you have one goal, and that is to get a first draft down. Experience tells me that the first chapter of a first draft may well not end up as the first chapter of your novel. Often it could end up as chapter 2 or 3, or it could end up on the cutting room floor. Don't be too concerned about the first lines at this stage. Just write. Get it down. In spite of our flexible approach, we still need to keep structure in mind. What does the first chapter do? As we have discussed, it engages the reader. But it does more than that, particularly in genre fiction. An action sets up a problem or raises a question that will be resolved through the novel. It will set your protagonist on a path that he or she might not even be aware of as yet. While the first chapter raises a problem, it could be a murder, a broken heart, the need to develop an equation to save the world. In the following chapters, we enter the world of the protagonist. In writing this first draft over the next 10 weeks, the first week's work will take you beyond the first chapter. Following the first chapter to the first break in your mud map is generally around 12 to 15,000 words into the narrative. That is around the first 2 weeks, at least, of the proposed writing schedule. This is the time you enter and paint the everyday world of the protagonist. We get a chance to build the character of the protagonist as we follow him or her through everyday life, at work, at home, in life's relationships. We develop his or her character. We meet his or her friends. We meet other characters who will play a role in our narrative. This is done through anecdotes of your characters at play or work, possibly with looming clouds of the original question. Perhaps the protagonist is dealing with issues coming from chapter 1 as part of her or his everyday life. The protagonist won't have any understanding of what could be coming, but you can keep its presence in the narrative in a subtle way. You establish your characters through their actions until the first inciting incident, when your character is jerked out of everyday life to face whatever awaits him or her at the first vertical line on your mud map. This will be the first big change when your protagonist leaves, possibly dramatically, the normality of everyday life that we have spent 10,000 words or so establishing. So now it's time to write. Get your 1,000 words or so down each writing session. Remember, for long-form writing, routine and regularity is everything. Don't strive for perfection, not yet, just get it down. Nobel Prize-winning author Ernest Hemingway, when giving advice to an 18-year-old aspiring writer, Arnold Samuelson, reportedly said, "The first draft of anything is shit, excuse the French." Think of Hemingway standing up, pounding away page after page on his old manual typewriter. We live in a different age. While we may have things today to make writing easier, writing a book is a huge task. But you can do it. Just write and enjoy, one word at a time. Good luck with it all.